Hi, I'm Colin from Tyne Valley Motorhomes, and today I'll be doing the handover demonstration on the Auto Sleeper Symbol 2015. As we walk down the driver's side of the vehicle, first thing behind the driver's door is your LPG fill-up point. As this vehicle has an underslung tank, you remove the cap, go to your local LPG centre, and it's a bayonet fitting, so you push the gun in, turn the front of the nozzle until it bites onto here, and then pull the trigger, and then you can start filling until simply it won't take any more, and then that's when you know the gas flow system is full. Coming further down, you do have your freshwater intake, which opens with the key, so the metal key, and then you put your hose pipe in there and fill up the water until you're happy there's enough water on board, or until it overflows. The other way you can fill up is through a submersible pump, and to do so you'd get your submersible pump connected to here, and it'll take the water in. So it takes the water in there, and the two fins here are for the power. Further behind that you've got your Truma vent boiler, so your boiler's underneath the seat inside, and this is the flue, so please make sure that is obstruction free at all times to allow the gas fumes out the side of the boiler. And then you do have your external max view TV point, so if you go to a super site and you struggle to get a signal with your TV aerial on board, you can connect a coax lead into here and connect it to your site, the same as a hookup lead, and you can use their TV mast. Further along you've got your hookup point, so to hook the vehicle up what you need to do is you need to get your hookup lead, lift the collar, slide the collar on top of the hookup lead and push on, and to unhook is a small blue lever which you push down with your thumb and pull the hookup lead off. Always hook the vehicle up first and then the sight, and do it in reverse when unhooking the vehicle, as we wouldn't want you walking around with a live lead. And then further down here you do have your freshwater drain. So you've got your fresh water, which is the blue tab, which just clips down, and then you can open this. So if you've taken on any contaminated water, you're draining the systems down. And obviously you would drain this off in the winter as this is part of your winterization process. And then that just clips back up. And then you've got your waste one, which is just behind the wheel, which you'd open, and that's just the water we've been testing the vehicle with. You drive over a grid on the way out of the site to open these and allow the water to drain out. Obviously the waste, just anything you've put down a plug hole, so soapy water, showering water, hand basin water, any liquids you've poured down the sink would go into there. You've got your vent for your microwave here, two fridge vents, and then on the back you do have a bike rack, so you unclip this on the side, pull it down, and then you've got two bikes on there, and you would get bikes on the rails. This would slide back, so you would slide one of these back down here, and obviously your wheels would clamp into the holders, and these through the spokes to tie the wheels on. And then you've got your bike 1 and bike 2, so that arm would pull down for the first, and this is the second, for the bike furthest away from the vehicle, and this would go through the crossbars. Moving further along you've got your ladder, so your ladder you can just climb up onto the roof for washing and so on, and you've got a high level brake light and reverse camera, and parking sensors on the bottom bumper. On the passenger side at the rear you've got your external gas barbecue point, so this works off the underslung tank. So if you've got a Cadillac or external barbecue, you get a fitting that clips into there. You'll need some gas hose and a Jubilee clip to connect the gas spigot onto the hose, and then you can connect it to your barbecue or Cadillac and turn on and off with the gas tap. And then at the front, so you've got your sliding door, so at the front you do have your diesel fill up point, so it opens with the main ignition key, and then you can fill the vehicle up and then lock it. So it's a lockable fuel cap. side you've got your tyre pressures, so the 5 bar on the front, which is 72.3 psi on the front, and 5.5, which is 79.5 on the rear. These are configurated camping tyres, so if you were blowing your tyres up, you'd go to a commercial place, because most supermarket compressors are only set to 60 psi. And then above you've got your weight plate, so it's 3.3 tonne. And then if you wanted to tow anything or put a tow bar on in the future, you can tow up to a train weight, which is a vehicle, and whatever you're towing can't exceed 5.8 tonne. You've got your Alco system here for your air suspension. So what you need to do is you get a compressor, same as your tyres, and you'd connect that onto there and blow air into here, and this gauge would go up, and that's how you top the air suspension up. Your toolkit is underneath here. So if you lift that off, you've got a toolkit there which has got a jack and a brace and a tow eye in. And when we're here, this is how you turn your seat round as well. So you just lift this up or push it down, and then you would move the seat, and that'll turn the seat into the rear. And then underneath the floor is where your engine battery lives. So if you ever needed to change the engine battery in the future, you will have to get the engine battery out through the floor. But there is a jumping point underneath the bonnet, and the bonnet release is here on the side of the passenger dashboard. And then underneath here you do have, so the original weight plate, the paint code. So go off the one on the door now, as this is when it was a Fiat chassis cab. You've got your oil filler and dipstick, brake fluid. This lifts off and gives you access to your radiator coolant and your power steering fluid, but the main one you're going to need is your screen wash. And then you do have an earth for jump starting, so this is where the black clip would go, and then your red. So this cover just comes down, you just put the key in there, lift that up, and then this is where your red positive would go for giving or receiving a jump start. And in the back doors you've got your fold away table, which is just like an ironing board, and you fold the legs up, and you can either have that in the vehicle or outside if it's a nice day. And you do have your toilet cassette. So this is where everything ends up when you use the toilet. And what you need to do is, if you lift the green lever there, you'll be able to slide it out. Should the blade be shut on the toilet, you'll slide it out all the way, and they're empty. You turn, remove the cap, go to the waste disposal point, which is normally behind or beside your toilet. Press this button here and tip out. So tip away like so. Once you've tipped it away, there's normally a tap, so you put some water in, give it a slosh around and empty again. And then if you are using the liquid, you pour your liquid into here. If you're using the tablet form, which is a new concept of liquid, which are in disposable bags, you'd put a pint of water into the vehicle or into the cassette, push it back into the vehicle, drop it down the toilet, and it'll break up into the liquid. Also use correct toilet paper, so Thetford toilet roll, as this breaks down, whereas your household toilet paper doesn't break down, like of your Andrex and your Comfort doesn't break down. So use the correct toilet paper. And the only time you'll not be able to get the cassette out if it didn't move is if the blade was open on the bottom bowl of the toilet, which I'll show you once we're inside. So above the sliding cargo door, should I say, is your main control panel. So you've got on off here, which is either 240 volt if you hooked up, which will be indicated by the little squiggle there, which tells you hooked up, or you'll just have 12 volt off your leisure battery. Next to it you have your pump, which you must have on for your taps, toilet and shower, otherwise you'll get whatever's left in the lines and there'll be no pressure. So put that on only if there's sufficient water in the tank. You've got all your master lights within the vehicle, so put this on and then you can turn them on and off individually switched around the van like so. And then you've got your awning light. This dims your lighting. This transfers your power from your leisure battery to your engine battery, but I wouldn't advise using it. I'd definitely keep all your power that the motorhome's running off the leisure battery and not the vehicle, as it can flatten it. And then you do have this one here, so it's got the water with the thermometer in, which is the temperature of the water, and that basically is your tank heater, so it stops it freezing should it be cold. That stops that freezing. And then if you go scroll through the panel, so we'll start from the beginning, auto sleeper logo, you scroll up, you've got the time, setting the clocks, your levels, so you've got your leisure battery reading and the amps coming off it, the solar panel input, and the ampage coming off the active battery, which is your leisure battery. Obviously with the solar panel, the hookup takes priority as it's the bigger source of electric. Then if you go further up, you've got the vehicle battery reading, the leisure battery reading, your fresh water and your wastewater. Obviously your waste's open and there isn't anything in because I've just opened it. Fresh is full, leisure battery is 13.2 volts and vehicle is 13.2. And then it goes back to the start. And then next to it you have your heating and hot water controls. So this is this is either heating or hot water. So this switch here, so at the top you've got 60 degrees of heating your water on its own, and below you've got 40 degrees of heating your water on its own. The little O is off. Then you've got heating on its own with no water. And then towards the bottom you've got heating and hot water at 60 degrees. And you've got 1 to 5, which is just the temperature. And then across this is the energy source selection. So if you go start off at the very top, you've got 2 wiggly lines, which is 2 kilowatts of electric, which you'd use if you've paid your site fees. You obviously don't want to waste your gas. You've got 1 wiggly line, which is 1 kilowatt, which you may have to use on smaller CL sites or abroad. You've got the gas flame on its own, which is gas on its own. This is i.e. when you're wild camping, you'd use this or not hooked up. And then you've got 1 wiggly line in gas, which is mixture 1, which is 1 kilowatt and gas. And then you've got 2 wiggly lines in gas, which is mixture 2, which is 2 kilowatts and gas, which you'd use in the winter. If it's cold, you can put both sources on together on double. It'll double your source, which will reduce the heating time of the water or the vehicle. So in the kitchen area you do have 3 gas burner hob, which is lit like so. So you lift these splash guards away, and then you can put your pans on and things, and then turn them off, allow it to cool before you do put the glass lid down. And below you do have an oven and grill, which I would advise removing these when you travel, as they can be a bit noisy when on the road. You've got your oven, and then above you've got your grill, like so. Underneath the oven is where you'll find your Sargent electrical box. So this is your electric box. So this has got all your trips, your fuses and so on in. So this is just imitated off the control panel, but there is a black button on the side which is a system shutdown button. So if you're storing the vehicle for any length of time to stop any power drains, you can press that button and it will isolate all the power within the vehicle. And below you've got all your 12-volt fuses. So I would carry some spare blade fuses, some spare 10s, 5s, 20s fuses. And then you've got your 240 space heater, water heater and charger. Leave them lit up because they'll only work when you're hooked up. And obviously your water heater and space heater works off gas on the switch above the door. But leave these on and they'll only come on when you do hook the vehicle up. And then below you've got your trip tester, your RCDs and your MCBs. So if you trip the vehicle out, try here before you try the side post. And then you've got a little switch in the corner, which is your waste heater tank. Obviously the light comes on, so again, if it's cold and you feel like you need to put the tank heater on above the door, don't forget about this one, which is the waste heater, and puts a current through the water to stop the water from freezing. So to operate your Thetford fridge, you turn on and off here, the on and off button. Then if you press the middle button, it tells you what source you're on. So at the moment we're on 240 electric, the hookup, that looks like the plug, and the temperature is there. If you did want to change the source, you would press and hold the grey square button, press and hold until everything starts flashing, and then you use the arrows. So you can go to battery, which is the engine battery, or you can go to gas. With the engine battery, if I put it on now, it will fail, and it's flashing, and it's got a red here. It's failing because the engine isn't running, so it's not getting a feed from the alternator, and it's designed to keep the temperature the same. So the idea here is, with this being a small compact vehicle, and if you're keeping this at home, you'd put it on hookup a day or two before you went away, put your shopping in the night before, allow the fridge and shopping to get lovely and cool together, and then when you do start travelling, no matter if it's half an hour down the road or a good distance, you can put it on a battery, and what it does is it keeps the shopping nice and fresh and edible and cool as it was. And then if you did get to a site and you were wild camping, you just go further along to the gas flame, press OK. That's just the temperature. So you've got 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, 5 being the coldest. Press enter again and that's set. So we're set on gas now. Also, when winterizing the vehicle, if you clean your fridge out, leave nothing in it, give it a clean out with some Dettol. If you just lift the toggle out underneath here and put that into there, it basically stops the door from closing and allows ventilation in and out the fridge. And this switch here operates the microwave, and the microwave only works on 240 volt hookup. So it isn't a 12 volt microwave, you've got to be hooked up for this to work. And in your washroom, to operate the toilet, make sure the pump's on and you'll be able to press the button here, which will then flush the toilet like so. So you flush the toilet, and then you've got the blade on the bottom, which I was on about from outside. So if this was to be open, the cassette won't come out, and to open it, you'd simply pull it forward and it'll deposit into the cassette. So to use the toilet, what you need to do is you need to flush a toilet, which lubricates the blade, open the blade, use the toilet, rinse the toilet back out with the flush, and then shut the blade, which then seals the cassette. And it'll tell you on here when it does need emptying, so it'll tell you on that light there. So that's telling you it's in, that tells you it's half full and full, and then you've got your water, which I would forget about that because that's more for a caravan where you've got a separate reservoir. You don't on a motorhome, it's fed from the main freshwater tank. And then you do have your fold down sink, which operates. Just do be careful when you're slowly pouring it with the water, as if it's full you don't want to tip it up too quick, as you can flood the bathroom, because it's only a small sink behind, which then leads to the waste. And then you do have, push this button in, you'll be able to slide this along, and you've got your toilet recovered. Above you do have a fly screen and blackout blind for on an evening. You can black this out, and to open the skylight you can either pinch both together or put one side down, and you've got some movement depending on the wind. You have one side up and one side down, you can have back and front down, just for ventilation in the wind. Light switches on the side of the light here. And then when winterizing as well, if you remove the shower head and allow this shower hose to lie in the tray, as you can see it's looped. If there was any water to freeze in there, it would mean you would have to replace this. Also leave all mixer taps in the middle, open middle position, to stop any water that's in the lines and any airlocks. So to make the beds, what you need to do is you need to lift and slide out, and then there's a small lever here which you'd slide down to release the slide bearing on the seat, and there's a little press stud in the corner just below the seat belt which you just pull off, which is just for the cushions. slide this out here, and then remove the cushion from behind. That lies down, and then what you need to do is you slide this further out, put the backrest in the middle, upside down, and then there's some cushions which lie just underneath your wardrobe, which are infill cushions, which you'd slot into the gap here, and then this will become a nice solid bed, like so, across the motorhome. And underneath your long bench seat behind your driver's seat, you've got your leisure battery location, your charger, but the main thing, you've got your boiler. So your boiler holds 10 litres of hot water at any one time. It is very important that in the winter you drain the boiler down, as if the water was to freeze in the boiler, it would ruin the boiler and it would need to be replaced, which is very expensive to do and isn't covered underneath the warranty. So to drain it off, this is your anti-frost control valve. It automatically drops the water at 3 degrees, but don't rely on it, because if it ever becomes faulty, it's still your duty of care to ensure that the boiler is drained down. So what you need to do is, once the diamond on the top is across the vehicle and the button at the bottom is pushed in, it's holding water. Once you turn it out and the button comes out, it's draining the hot water directly underneath the chassis. So when it goes front to back, what you need to do to stop that is turn it, press the button back in, and then you'll hear the pump kick in. It's just replenishing the water that I've dropped out. But you'd come in without the pump on to stop that doing that. You'd allow the water to drain out, you'd open all the mixer taps, you'd open the fresh and waste tap outside, and you'd make sure that there's no water left in the vehicle over the winter months, as you can see, they're just plastic pipes and tanks. If any water was to freeze in there, it is a lot of damage caused, and it'll cost a lot of money to repair. So this is how you would drain your boiler. Also behind the boiler is your gas taps. So if there's any problems with gas, you can turn it off at the bottle, but you can't turn it off here, as there is a main isolation underneath the van for your LPG gas tank. But you can turn them off here, but these are mainly for when the vehicle is habitation service. The technician will make sure the gas is working accordingly on the boiler, fridge, cooker, water heater, and so on. And your tabletop also lives behind here, which you can get out, and the leg for that lives in the wardrobe, which clips into here. So it's a push leg, and then the top just fits on the top of the pole. Then operate the window, push the lever down and slide. So push and slide the window open, and then push, and it'll click when it's shut. And then you do have a fly screen, and to part the fly screen from the blackout blind, you press, and you have a blackout blind. But don't use the windows when in motion with the vehicle. Your front skylight operates with the little toggle, so you can wind it open and shut. Again, you can't use this when you are on the road, as it's just a plastic window. You will be able to use them, sorry, so I don't know what I was saying. You can use these ones because they're glass. You can open them in the summer. It's just the push out ones you can't. And the fly screen and blackout blind on there, you can't use this any skylights in when traveling, and this one just opens by pushing out. And again, it has a blackout blind and fly screen on there. So now in the front cab, so to the right of the driver, you do have your handbrake, and on the doors you do have your Remus car blind. So you use your finger and your thumb. I'll put my teeth in, and then you'll be able to slide them down. And then you've got the same on the windscreen, so pinch them, slide them, and they are just the magnetic strips which keep them together. So if it is going to be a windy night, you might want to put a hair bobble or elastic band around the arms of the blinds. And then you do have your electric windows and electric mirror adjustment, and you've got 2 adjustments on each mirror, so you've got the top and the blind spot. This shows you how much gas is in your gas tank when the engine's on. And then you do have your front and rear fog lights and headlight adjustment. I'll get back onto this in a moment, which is your alarm sensor indicator. You've got your wiper stalk with your trips on, so it views through the screen there, tells you your range, your travelling times, your travelling distance, and so on, in the instant and average consumption. Headlights and indicators, comfortmatic gearbox, so it's up for neutral, down for auto, and then you press it. So if it comes up with 1, it's in manual mode, so what you need to do is press it to the left again, and then it'll come up auto 1, that's in auto. Or you can go back to manual and you can go up and down the gears, or you can come back to the driver and down, and it'll go into reverse and you'll hear the sensors kick in. And that's how you operate the gearbox. And then you can either park it in gear with the handbrake on, or you can park it up into neutral and put your handbrake on. So there's no park on this, you've got to use the handbrake. Hazard lights. This button locks the doors, so it locks the passenger, driver, sliding cargo and rear doors. You've got heated mirrors. Temperature, fan speed must be on at least 1 or more for the aircon to work. There you go, it lights up. And then you've got your distribution, so where you want the air to go to, and either you recirculate the air or bring fresh air through the vehicle. 2 12-volt sockets. Storage bin with auxiliary and USB in here for the head unit, which is your entertainment system. And then to operate, you can turn it on. It is FM and AM, and you can press 1 to 6 to save your channels, or you can go to media, which can either be auxiliary or USB or Bluetooth audio. And to pair a phone, you go to phone, pair phone, enter, add phone. You want to find Uconnect, so you need to do this with the engine on. Find Uconnect and make sure the pins match. Once they do, and you found it on your device, press pair, and then press pair on here, and then it'll ask you if you want to download your contact book. Press yes, and it'll sync all your contacts into the head unit, so whoever rings will come up on here. Then you've got your volume, and you can scroll through here, and you can turn off like so. And then when in reverse, your reversing monitor will show up. Also, when the engine's on, it'll show you a level of gas there, so you've got a full tank of gas. And getting back onto the alarm indicator, so when you lock the van with the key, it automatically puts the alarm on. When you unlock the van, it automatically disarms the alarm. But if you wanted to arm the vehicle with yourselves in, so it still arms the perimeter, but you want to turn the ultrasonic sensors off, which these are, so there's one on the post of the drivers and one on the post of the passenger. To turn them off, you put the key in the ignition, put the ignition on, put the ignition off, and within 6 seconds, if you just press and hold, and it'll flash until basically it doesn't flash anymore. That is the sensors off, and then as soon as the engine started, it goes back to default, where you have to do that every time. And the beeping in the background is just to tell us I'm in neutral.